Hi, thanks for watching Turn to the Stars. My name is Andrea Klim, and today, February 18th, 2014, I'm going to be talking about Mars retrograde in 2014. And Mars retrograde occurs from March 1st through May 20th. And I do first, before I get into the real body of today's show, want to talk a little bit about astrology. And because so many people, I've had this experience so many times, walk up to me and say, I don't believe in astrology. And, my answer is astrology is not something that you believe in. It's something that you know about. It's something that provides you a way to understand yourself and the world that surrounds you. It does not control anything. It provides insight into how things are, and it relaxes the anxiety that our unknowing world has about a study that is still growing in our awareness. So it's not something that you believe in. It's something that you learn about. It's something that you know about. It's something that you research. It is the language of the energy of the planets that surround us. And so on Turn to the Stars, I do my very best to provide this information so that you can understand what astrology is. And when we talk about Mars retrograde, Mars is, you've heard it called so many times, the red planet. And from our position here on Earth, Mars is to our right side, and where Venus is to our left. And that is pretty much the origin of that term, or that saying, women are from Venus, men are from Mars, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And because they are the two closest planets to the Earth. So, and Mars is the closest planet to us of all the outer or transpersonal planets. So what I want you to do, if you could, take a minute and think about the energy of Mars is energy that is required for movement. It inspires our willpower, our action, the things that you fight for, desire. We describe Mars's energy as the energy that's needed to work to build muscle. The armed forces are governed by Mars's energy. Jealousy, anger, war. These are all things ruled over by the energy influence from Mars. Surgery, knives, physical exercise, all ruled by the energy of Mars. So what does it mean when Mars goes retrograde or moves into a retrograde motion? From Earth, if you look up into the sky and you watch the motion of the planets against the backdrop of the stars, we usually observe them moving in one direction. Occasionally, every planet in our solar system, except for the sun and the moon, because they are considered luminaries, they are the closest, very close bodies, very strong influence to us, appear to slow down in their orbit. So every single planet except the sun and the moon stop. They appear to slow down in their orbit and stop, and then go backwards or retrograde, retrograde against the normal grade for a period of time. So however, this is simply due to the view of that planet from here on Earth. So from here on Earth, it appears that that planet or Mars will appear to move in a different direction, and it's simply from our view here on Earth. It's really not going backwards, it's just the positioning. So Mars retrograde begins on March 1st, and we continue to view it through a different perception, the retrograde, till May 20th. This retrograde motion for Mars happens every other year, and it lasts for approximately 70 to 80 days. So when planets appear to be in their retrograde, such as Mars will be, they appear to us to lose steam, things seem more unclear with the energy influence of that planet, and things seem unclear with our direction. It's turned inward, so to speak. The energy influence that comes from Mars will not behave in its normal manner during that retrograde. So with Mars turning retrograde, we feel like we're paddling upstream. And so, like I talked about earlier, we'll feel as if we have less energy for movement, we have less willpower, we have less energy for the activities in our lives, we'll have less activity for the things that we want to fight for, there'd be less energy around the, going after what we desire, less energy to build muscle, less energy for jealous reactions, angry responses, or war. And it's known, typically in the astrological community, for those who study astrology and know that the guidance that it provides for us is very, very important. Typically while Mars is retrograde, it is not a good time to initiate new action. And anyone who initiates a fight, anyone that initiates an activity which is new, typically will lose while Mars is retrograde. It's likely that we will feel depleted, tired from the amount of energy that relationships and negotiations require. Mars is currently in the constellation of Libra, the relationship sign, the negotiating sign, the sign that seeks peace and harmony at all costs. So let's think about this energy. Mars is a planet that says, I need to be active, I need to be moving. But Libra says, not unless things are in balance. If this energy is turned inward in the area of relations, think about the effect of this balancing act that you've been experiencing and the amount of energy it takes to keep peace. I think we're all going to become even more aware of those type of activities about relating. So think about the areas that you or others are angry about, or areas where there's a lot of activity related to relationships. Think about where there is imbalance and where you wish there could be peace and harmony. Mars, during its retrograde, will provide that exact window of time for these things to occur. So I always think about retrograde as periods that provide us with medicine to help heal whatever was going on in that particular where that energy influenced. So this Mars retrograde period is not the time to initiate action in relationships, but to research it. Contemplate it. It's a time we should go back to the drawing board and reassess what and how to act. And I wanted to just share with you a little astrology humor. This past weekend on Valentine's Day, on that full moon in Leo, my family went out to have dinner to celebrate Valentine's Day. And we were having this really fun conversation about the Comcast commercial you see on TV where they provide you with a little story which sort of dominoes into why you should have Comcast. So how important is astrology? Here's my story on Mars retrograde. So you're thinking about joining a workout club, and Mars rules over our activities, building of muscle, and things that we're actively going to get involved in and be active with. And so you're thinking about joining a workout club, and Mars just turned retrograde. When you join a workout club, you're told you have to pick things up and put them down. When you pick things up and you put them down, you get tired. When you get tired, you drop a barbell on your foot. When you drop a barbell on your foot, you get rushed to the hospital. When you arrive at the hospital, they want to operate on your foot. So, while Mars is retrograde, don't get an operation on your foot, because then you won't go anywhere. Mars does rule over surgery as well. And when Mars is retrograde, it is not a good time for surgery. So while Mars is retrograde, spend your time weighing out your options. Research Mars retrograde and save your foot. So that's my bit of astrology humor on Mars retrograde in Libra. And another good reason why astrology is so important, because it is a perfect tool for navigation. So just from March 1st, 2014 until May 20th, we'll all be influenced to look inward and find energy to manage our relationships better. And I have a chart here which is shows Mars retrograde. When this is actually a chart of March 1st, and you can see where the arrow is pointing upward. There's this symbol that represents Mars right beside the North Node, which shows us the direction that we should go in to find the most fulfillment, and that is relationships. And so this is actually March 1st, and we see what Mars is doing in this chart and how it is talking. And it is actually not talking very nicely to Venus. We see that red line that connects Mars to Venus, and relationships are certainly going to be something that we're all going to be taking a very strong second look at. And I'm going to show you another chart now, which is May 20th. Now this is Mars goes, during its retrograde, appears to go all the way back to 9 degrees of Libra. And at this time, what it has done is taken us back to gain the knowledge, to gain the information, to gain the education during this time, which will bring us to a place that is more harmonious and peaceful. And there will be some tension that is still present in requiring or getting to that place where we can transition and act in a way that's best for everyone instead of one. So that's May 20th, this chart, and you can see Mars all the way back to 9 degrees Libra. So Mars retrograde in Libra is a great time to actively reshape the relationship imbalances in our lives. Procrastination about taking action will be more the norm now. Matters that are acted on while Mars is retrograde will become frustrated and plagued with disruptions until they finally end, because they're not going anywhere. Remember, typically Mars is about forward movement, but while Mars is retrograde, it is not the same type of energy output. It is inspiring us to look inward for our answers. Anything that runs by the force of mechanics, machinery, that is hanging on by a thread is likely to break down, as this energy will exhaust what is already nearly exhausted. We'll see expressions of fear about taking action and uncertainty of how to take action. During this time, it is best to review projects and consider the energy required to make them succeed. I would say backdoor politics will work best. Indirect action will work best March 1st through May 20th. Given that all three personal planets, which are closest to us here on Earth, Venus, Mercury, Mars, have gone through their retrograde in early 2014, you could say that being mindful and conscious has never been more important. And I have actually a little video that I'd like to play for you, which I made, which does provide some further information on Mars retrograde and the great designs that it draws in our universe. So I'm going to play that and be right back. I hope you enjoy the sounds of Mars. see from that video that Mars does some really wonderful things. Over a period of 16 years, it makes that beautiful pattern in our universe. And man has copied those patterns by watching the movement and watching the retrogrades, and they've actually diagrammed the exact picture of what Mars does in our universe. And so they've copied it and used that picture in creating beautiful windows and designs. And we know historically that Mars typically was revered as the god of war and of movement. And when we see people that are really muscly, we say they're very Martian in form, very strong, very muscular. So when Mars is retrograde, it is truly a time to review how we handle anger, how we handle our self-defense, how we defend ourselves, self-motivation, and intimate relationships. Acting on your anger or responding to conflict may get you nowhere while Mars is retrograde. Whatever area of your life Mars is retrograding will require a renewed effort, a renewal of activity as you revisit it. So if you were to look at your birth chart and look at the perimeters between 9 degrees and 27 degrees Libra, you would know the area of your life that will be retraced or revisited or reviewed under Mars retrograde. So it is really good advice to engage thought before action during this time. Libra is an air sign, so it seeks knowledge, it seeks information, it seeks balance, it seeks peace and harmony and beauty in relating. Mars retrogradation through the constellation of Libra inspires thought, communication, and negotiation. As Libra is a cardinal sign, we should all be aware of our desire to be in control of those we relate to. I recommend that you remain conscious of the sort of dialogue that you use when you talk to anyone in your life, as your words carry the power to shape and impact others. I did have a little timeline, which I was not able to show during the show, but it really does whatever. If you were to retrace back to around December 26th and consider the events and relationships that have occurred between that time and the beginning of Mars retrograde, which is March 1st, in relationships, and then sort of consider that, and between March 1st and May 20th, this is going to be the time where anything that you felt might be out of balance in relationships will come up for review. And so you want to really ponder the best you can, review, reflect, gather information between March 1st and May 20th. Not the time to engage, not the time to fight back. It is the time for review, reflection. How can I restore? How can I get to a place of harmony and peace? And then May 20th through about July 20th is going to be the final shadowing of this retrogradation. We're currently in a phase right now which is considered a shadow of what we'll be retracing. So during Mars retrograde, whoever fires first typically loses. Historically, that's been proven. During this time, it's best to think a lot about how you treat people and how they treat you. Weigh it out, balance it out. You'll have a chance to experience a deeper sense of stillness in relationships. And it is really best to align with these things rather than fight against them. And we all know how that works. Typically, when you fight against something that isn't meant for that to be going on at that time, it doesn't work out. You you could really explore the quality of your relationship and the dialogue that occurs within these relationships that you've created. Relationships will require free flowing dialogue, a sort of airing out during Mars retrograde. And if you're an Aries, meaning that you were born between March 21st through April 21st, or if you're a Scorpio, born around October 21st through about November 21st, your life will be dramatically affected by this shift in direction, because that planet is part of the energy that really does have a lot of influence in your life. Arians may find themselves being less aggressive, less pushy, less impatient to have their way in situations, which typically they're forcing or pushing their way ahead all the time, as they're known to be pioneers and the ones who sort of are trailblazers. For Scorpios, they'll find that they are less concerned about being in control, controlling an immediate situation, and of course, running matters their way. Scorpios are interested in transforming things. So probably the best thing is, and you'll see them more apt to be looking at things in a very different way while Mars is retrograde. Both Mars rule types, which are the Scorpio and the Aries, will find themselves more inclined to sit back and review matters in a more detached or impersonal way. They'll feel more patient to wait on circumstances to unfold before they take action. However, during Mars retrograde period, people who have planets by birth in Aries or Scorpio may not find it so easy to recognize the anger they feel inside until after the retrograde. They may express an unusual passiveness while under fire because they need more time to process during this Mars retrograde period. So Mars retrograde really is a time where people should go back and fix problems that they've experienced in relationships, and they're going to be more inclined to make wrong things right. We won't be so inclined to exercise our muscles of movement, but to reassess our muscles, so to speak, especially in the area of relating. This is an ideal time to be more reserved and to hesitate and to review your past and think about new ways to act in the future. Take note of them. As Mars changes its position around May 20th, then we're going to see, you're going to feel it a couple of days ahead, because when a planet actually, either is going to prepare to go in a retrograde motion or prepare to go in a direct motion, we call it's stationing. So it sort of kind of rumbles, and the energy around us gets a little bit mixed up for a day or two before we actually feel the forward movement. So right around May 20th, we're going to feel that. And we're going to see people begin to be more outward in their physical activities. And you know the expression, actions speak louder than words? During Mars retrograde, actions will speak very loudly, and we'll, it would be best for us to take account and to really examine that. To know the area of your astrological chart that Mars in Libra influences while it is retrograde will be of great help for you to understand what the influences will be in your life. I look at my birth chart, and I look at the transit, which is the influences of the outside world to me in my life, and I look at where I'm going to be reviewing, and it really helps me to understand what is going to be the best or in my best interest during that time. So I just did want to point out a couple things about Mars retrograde. Around the beginning of April, there is going to be this sense of unsettling feeling that came as the retrograde began. Now there could be a intensified and maybe even a pressure that is present and stimulating that cardinal cross that we've been all experiencing since 2012, meaning we really need to be very careful of our actions because it is intensified as Mars is opposing the Sun at this time. So you really want to be aware of who you are and what actions you're taking in effect and connection with others. And as we get nearer to the show, I do want to talk about, we have between Venus, which rules over relationships and security, and Mars, which rules our movement, haven't been having a very easy time with the energy of those two planets. And that means that relationships and the structure of them everywhere have been influenced. So I do want to say that I hope that your Mars retrograde is one that does bring you back to a place of peace and harmony in those very important relationships in your life. And I do want to say to everyone, thank you for watching Turn to the Stars. Thank you to everyone who joined the shamanic practices class this past Sunday. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. I will thanks again for all your support and watching Turn to the Stars. And until next week, take good care.